The massive ship Eternal Vigilance drifted silently through the void between stars. Its hull stretched for miles, built from metals that shimmered with strange colors. Inside, creatures from dozens of different worlds worked together at control. Stations that glowed with soft blue light. Commander Zethkar stood 8 feet tall on 4 powerful legs. His reptilian skin was dark green with golden stripes that showed his high rank in the Galactic Council fleet. Sharp yellow eyes scanned the displays around him as his crew monitored the vast emptiness of space. "Commander, we have something unusual," called Dr. Veltara from her station. The tall, slender alien had pale blue skin and large black eyes that never seemed to blink. She was one of the best scientists in the fleet. Known for discovering 12 new species in the past 5 years, Zethkar moved across the bridge with heavy steps that made soft clicking sounds on the metal floor. "What have you found, Doctor? Strange?" "Signals coming from this system," she said, pointing to a holographic display that showed a small yellow star surrounded by several planets. "The third planet appears to have intelligent life, but their technology is very basic. They are using simple radio waves and electromagnetic signals." The commander looked at the swirling display with interest. Finding new intelligent species was always exciting, but it also meant careful work. The Galactic Council had strict rules about how to study new civilizations. They had learned from past mistakes that rushing into contact could be dangerous for everyone involved. "How primitive are they?" he asked. Dr. Veltara touched several controls, and the air filled with crackling sounds. Strange voices spoke in unknown languages, mixed with music that had simple melodies and steady beats. They call themselves humans. They live on the third planet in this system, which they call Earth. Lieutenant Crixon, an insect-like creature, with 4 arms, looked up from his communication station. "Commander, I have been listening to their signals for 3 days. There is something very disturbing about these humans." Zethkar felt his spines rise slightly, an automatic response to potential danger. In his 40 years of service, he had encountered many species. Some were peaceful traders, others were dangerous predators. A few had been so violent that the Council was forced to quarantine their entire systems. "Explain." The lieutenant's compound eyes glittered as he pulled up more displays. Their entertainment broadcasts are filled with violence. They create stories about massive wars that destroy entire cities. They seem to enjoy watching conflicts where millions of their own kind die. Dr. Veltara nodded grimly. "I have been analyzing their historical communications. They have fought what they call world wars involving their entire planet. Hundreds of millions died in these conflicts, yet they continue to make entertainment. About even larger wars, more displays appeared around them showing images captured from human broadcasts. Pictures of explosions, soldiers with weapons, cities in ruins, and strange flying machines dropping bombs. The alien crew gathered around to see, their different types of eyes all showing concern. "Look at this," said Ensign Dractyl, a small, furry creature with 6 legs. His voice was high and nervous. "They have weapons that can destroy their own planet. Yet instead of getting rid of these weapons, they make movies about using them against aliens from space." The commander studied the images carefully. In his experience, species that enjoyed violent entertainment were usually violent themselves. The humans seemed to create elaborate stories about fighting alien invaders, always showing themselves as brave warriors who never gave up, even against impossible odds. "What about their culture?" Zethkar asked. "Are they united as a species?" "Doctor?" Veltara's expression grew more worried. "Oh, Commander. They are divided into hundreds of smaller groups called nations. These nations fight each other regularly. Even now, as we watch them, conflicts are happening across their planet." Lieutenant Crixon added more disturbing information. "News broadcasts show violence every day. Not just wars between nations, but individual humans attacking each other. They seem to accept this as normal behavior." The bridge fell quiet except for the soft humming of the ship's systems. Zethkar had seen violent species before, but humans seemed different. Most aggressive species fought for territory, resources, or survival. Humans appeared to fight for ideas, beliefs, and sometimes for no clear reason at all. There's more. Commander, Dr. Veltara said quietly, they keep predators as companions. Creatures they call dogs and cats live in their homes and are treated like family members. This suggests they have natural bonds with aggressive species. Ensign Droctel shivered, his fur standing on end. On his homeworld, only the most dangerous criminals kept predators as pets. Normal, peaceful creatures stayed far away from anything. With sharp teeth and claws. Show me their military capabilities, the commander ordered. New displays appeared showing human aircraft, ships, and ground vehicles designed for war. While the technology was primitive compared to Galactic Council standards, the humans had clearly put enormous effort into creating efficient weapons. More concerning was their approach to warfare itself. They have a concept called total war. Lieutenant Crichton explained. When they fight, they involve their entire population. Not just soldiers, but every human contributes to the war effort. They seem to believe that any conflict is worth fighting with everything they have. Dr. Veltara pulled up more examples. Their entertainment shows humans fighting impossible battles and never surrendering. Even when facing certain death, their fictional heroes continue fighting. They seem to view giving up as the worst possible shame. Scar felt a chill run down his spine. In most civilized species, surrender was an acceptable option when facing overwhelming force. It prevented unnecessary death and allowed for peaceful solutions. A species that refused to surrender could be incredibly dangerous to encounter. Commander called Chief Technician Grixeth from across the bridge. The silicon-based aliens. Crystalline body reflected the light from dozens of control panels. I have been analyzing their technological development. They're advancing very quickly, much faster than most species we have studied. How quickly? The commander asked, though he suspected he would not like the answer. If their current rate continues, they will develop faster than light travel within 50 to 100 years. Maybe sooner if they focus their efforts. The bridge crew exchanged worried looks. A violent species with space travel capability could threaten the peace that the Galactic Council had worked for thousands of years to build. The last time an aggressive species had developed FTL technology, 3 peaceful civilizations had been destroyed before the Council could stop them. What do you recommend, Doctor? Zethkar asked his science officer. Dr. Veltara was quiet for a long moment, studying the displays around her. Based on their behavior patterns, entertainment preferences, military structure, and cultural attitudes, I believe humans represent a significant potential threat to galactic stability. She paused, then continued in a grave voice. They appear to be a species that thrives on conflict, refuses to surrender even when facing superior forces, and has natural bonds with predatory creatures. Their rapid technological advancement means they could pose a danger to neighboring systems within a century. Lieutenant Crichton nodded in agreement. Their own entertainment shows them fighting alien species. They seem to be already planning. For interstellar warfare, Commander Zethkar made his decision. Prepare a full report for the Galactic Council. Include all our observations and analysis. We need to establish monitoring stations around their system immediately. Should we recommend quarantine protocols? Dr. Veltara asked. The commander looked at the images of human cities, human weapons, and human entertainment one more time. Everything he saw suggested a species unlike any they had encountered before. It's not just violent, but persistently, creatively violent. A species that seemed to prepare for war, even during times of peace. Yes, he said finally. Recommend full quarantine protocols with potential for preemptive action if they develop space travel capabilities. The galaxy cannot risk contact with a species this dangerous. As the Eternal Vigilance began preparing its report, none of the crew noticed something important about the human broadcasts they had been studying. Mixed in with all the violence and conflict were other signals. Signals showing humans helping each other during disasters, caring for sick animals, creating beautiful art, and reaching out to explore space not for conquest, but for discovery. But those signals would remain unnoticed for now. 3 months had passed since the Eternal Vigilance first detected the human signals. Now a much smaller ship hung invisible at the edge of the solar system, hidden by advanced stealth technology that bent light around its hull like water flowing. Around a stone, Captain Morden of the Chitruk Collective adjusted his position in the command chair. 6 legs finding comfortable holds on the specially designed seat. His compound eyes could see in dozens of different light spectrums, making him perfect for observation missions. Around him, his hand-picked crew of specialists worked quietly at their monitoring stations. Day 91 of observation, he spoke. Into his personal log recorder, humans continue to display patterns that confirm our worst fears about their species. Dr. Clixana floated in her water-filled observation tank near the main viewing screen. Her translucent body pulsed with soft bioluminescent patterns that showed her deep concern. As a member of the peaceful oceanic depths civilization, she had never encountered a species quite like humans. "Captain, the humans are broadcasting another one of their disaster entertainment programs," she reported, her voice bubbling through the water and translated by the ship's computer. "This one shows their planet being invaded by hostile aliens, but they seem to enjoy watching it." Captain Morden clicked his mandibles together in a gesture of confusion. "Show me." The main screen filled with images from a human television broadcast. On screen, massive alien ships hung over human cities, while strange creatures with multiple arms attacked, running humans. But instead of showing fear or attempts at peaceful contact, the human characters grabbed weapons and began fighting back. Against impossible odds, notice how they never try to communicate or surrender, Dr. Clixana observed. Even when their weapons are clearly useless against the alien technology, they continue fighting. Some of them even smile while doing it. Insane. Thiprix, a tall, plant-like being whose leaves rustled when he was nervous, turned from his cultural analysis station. "Captain, I have been studying their historical records more deeply. The violence we observed is not just entertainment. They really did fight these massive wars they call World War I and World War II. "Tell me more," the captain ordered. "In their Second World War, they developed weapons of incredible destruction. Bombs that could destroy entire cities in moments. But instead of using these weapons to force peace, they actually used them. Twice, on their own species." The bridge fell silent, except for the gentle humming of life support systems, even among the most aggressive species known to the Council. Using planet-killing weapons against your own kind was almost unthinkable. Dr. Clixana's bioluminescent pattern shifted to deep red, indicating extreme distress. "Captain, there is something even more disturbing. After using these terrible weapons, they did not seem to learn from the horror. They built thousands more, much more powerful than the first ones." "How many do they have now?" Captain Morden asked, though he dreaded the answer. "Enough to destroy their planet many times over," Ensign Thiprax replied, his leaves rustling frantically. "Yet they keep them ready to use. They call it deterrence, but their entertainment media shows them using these weapons against alien invaders without hesitation." The captain studied more broadcasts from Earth. Human news programs showed conflicts happening across their planet. Small wars, terrorist attacks, and individual violence seemed to be daily occurrences. Most disturbing was how calmly human news. Reporters discussed these events as if violence was simply a normal part of life. "Dr. Clixana, what about their social structures? Do they have any peaceful institutions?" The aquatic scientist consulted her data displays. "They do have organizations they claim promote peace, Captain. But even these seem focused on preparing for future conflicts. They have something called the United Nations that is supposed to prevent wars, but wars continue happening anyway. Perhaps they are too primitive to control their violent impulses," suggested Communications Officer Vextil, a slug-like creature whose entire body was covered in sensitive hearing organs. "I have been monitoring their military communications. They conduct training exercises constantly, always preparing for battle." Captain Morden had hoped that closer observation would reveal humans to be less dangerous than first believed. Instead, every piece of new information made them seem more threatening. "What about their relationships with other species on their planet?" Ensign Thiprix brightened slightly, his leaves turning a hopeful green color. "They do seem to care for some other creatures, Captain. They keep smaller animals in their homes and treat them well." "Show me," the captain ordered. New images appeared on screen showing humans with various Earth animals. But as Captain Morden studied the footage, his hopes faded quickly. The creatures humans chose as companions were all predators. Dogs with Sharp teeth descended from wolves, cats with claws and hunting instincts. Even some humans kept reptiles and birds of prey. This confirms our analysis, Dr. Klixana observed sadly. They naturally bond with aggressive species. On my world, we only associate with gentle filter feeders and peaceful plant growers. Humans choose to live with hunters and fighters. Communications Officer Vextel detected something new in the human broadcasts. Captain, they have entertainment programs about space exploration, but look how they imagine meeting other species. The screen showed human movies and television shows about space travel. In nearly every story, when humans met aliens, the result was either immediate conflict or preparation for future war. Even when the aliens in the stories were peaceful, humans seemed suspicious and ready to fight. They are already planning to be aggressive toward other species they have not even met yet. Captain Morden realized with growing alarm. Their entertainment shows them conquering alien worlds and fighting galactic empires. Dr. Klixana's patterns turned deep purple with worry. Captain, I have found something else. They have a concept they call mutually assured destruction. They point their planet-killing weapons at each other and threaten to use them if attacked. They consider this a form of peace. The captain's compound eyes widened. They achieve peace through threats of total destruction. Yes, Captain, and it appears to work for them. They have not had a full planetary war since developing these weapons, but they continue building more powerful ones and creating detailed plans for using them. Ensign Thiprex S-Leaves had turned brown with fear. Captain, what kind of species finds peace through the threat of mutual extinction? Even the most aggressive species we know seek to preserve their own lives. Captain Morden was beginning to understand why the Galactic Council was so concerned about humans. This was not simple aggression or territorial behavior. Humans seemed to think in ways that made no sense to civilized species. They prepared for wars that might never happen. They created entertainment about fighting enemies they had never met. They found peace through the promise of total destruction. Hector. Klixana, how advanced is their space technology? More advanced than we initially believed, Captain. They have sent small vehicles to other planets in their system. They've built a station that orbits their world. Their progress is accelerating rapidly. Timeline for faster-than-light capability. Based on their current advancement rate and their tendency to focus resources on military applications, possibly 50 years. Maybe less if they feel threatened. Captain Morden made his decision. Prepare a priority message for the Galactic Council. Include all our observations and a strong recommendation for immediate quarantine protocols. What level of quarantine, Captain? Asked Dr. Klixana. The captain looked at the displays showing human cities, human weapons, and human entertainment. One final time. A species that bonded with predators, planned for wars that did not exist, achieved peace through threats of destruction, and created entertainment about fighting aliens they had never met. Maximum quarantine, with authorization for preemptive action, he said grimly. The humans represent a clear and present danger to galactic civilization. They must not be allowed to develop interstellar travel. As the observation post prepared its urgent report, the crew continued monitoring human broadcasts. They recorded military exercises, weapons testing, and more violent entertainment. But like the crew of the Eternal Vigilance before them, they missed the quieter signals, humans teaching their children to be kind. The humans risking their lives to save animals during natural disasters. The humans creating art and music about love, hope, and peace. Those signals remained invisible. Two eyes that had already decided what they were looking for. 6 months had passed since Captain Morden sent his urgent report to the Galactic Council. The hidden observation post continued its silent watch over the human solar system, recording every signal and studying every broadcast. The crew had settled into a routine of constant monitoring, waiting for orders from the Council about how to handle the human threat. Then everything changed in a single moment. Captain. Communications Officer Vextel's entire body trembled with alarm. I am detecting an unknown vessel approaching our position. It appears to be of human construction. Captain Morden's compound eyes immediately focused on the main display. A small ship barely larger than a shuttle moved slowly toward their hidden position. Its design was crude compared to Galactic Council technology, but it was clearly capable of faster-than-light travel. Possible, whispered Dr. Clixana from her water tank. Our projections showed they needed at least 50 more years to develop. FTL capability. The human ship was small and simple, built with the straight lines and practical design that humans seem to prefer. Strange symbols were painted on its side, and it moved with the careful precision of a crew that knew they were in unknown territory. Are they armed? Captain Morden asked, his 6 legs tensing for potential combat. Ensign Thiprix quickly scanned the approaching vessel. I detect no obvious weapons, Captain. But given their aggressive nature, the entire ship could be designed as a weapon. Have found our position, Vextil reported. How is that possible? Our stealth technology should be invisible to their primitive sensors. Captain Morden studied the small human ship with growing unease. According to all their analysis, humans were violent and unpredictable. The fact that they had developed space travel decades ahead of schedule and somehow detected a hidden alien observation post suggested they were even more dangerous than originally believed. Are they broadcasting any signals? He asked. Yes, Captain. They are transmitting mathematical sequences. Simple mathematical relationships like prime numbers and geometric ratios. Dr. Clixana's bioluminescent patterns shifted to confused yellow. Mathematical sequences? That is unusual. Most aggressive species begin first contact with threats or demands. The human ship continued its slow approach, broadcasting the same simple mathematical signals over and over. The patterns were clearly designed to show intelligence without appearing threatening. It was exactly the kind of peaceful first contact protocol that civilized species used. This does not match their behavioral profile, Captain Morden admitted. All our observations suggested they would approach with weapons ready and demands for surrender. Perhaps it is a trick, suggested Ensign Thiprix, his leaves rustling nervously. Their entertainment programs show them using deception against alien species. This could be a strategy to make us lower our defenses. The captain considered this possibility. Humans did seem to value clever tactics and surprise attacks in their fictional stories. This peaceful approach could be an elaborate trap designed to get close enough to study alien technology or capture alien specimens. Monitor all frequencies for additional human ships, he ordered. This could be a scouting vessel for a larger attack force. Minutes passed as the human ship drew closer, continued broadcasting mathematical sequences, adding simple pictographs that showed the layout of their solar system and basic information about their planet. Still no threats. No demands and no signs of hidden weapons. Captain, I am detecting only 2 life forms aboard the vessel, reported Thiprix. Human life signs, both apparently healthy and calm. Only 2. Dr. Clixana bubbled in surprise. They sent only 2 individuals to make first contact with an unknown alien species. That seems remarkably trusting for such a violent race. Captain. Morden was beginning to feel confused. Nothing about this encounter matched what they had learned about human behavior. Where were the weapons? Where were the threats? Where was the aggressive posturing they had seen in every human entertainment program? Captain, they are transmitting a new signal, Vextil announced. It appears to be visual communication. The main screen flickered and showed the interior of the human ship. 2 humans sat at control stations, both looking directly at the camera, with expressions that seemed curious rather than hostile. One was a male with short brown hair and calm blue eyes. The other was a female with longer blonde hair tied back in a practical style. The male human raised his hand in what appeared to be a greeting gesture. He spoke in his own language, but the ship's computer quickly provided a translation. Hello, we are peaceful explorers from the planet Earth. We detected your presence and wanted to make contact. We mean no harm and hope we can communicate. Doctor. Clixana's patterns turned bright green with shock. They are greeting us? They detected our stealth technology, and their first response is to say hello? The female human also spoke. My name is Dr. Lisa Parker. This is Commander Jake Morrison. We represent a peaceful scientific mission from Earth. We are very excited to meet other intelligent life. Captain Morden stared at the display in complete bewilderment. These humans looked nothing like the aggressive warriors he had expected. They appeared calm, curious, and genuinely pleased about making contact with aliens. Dr. Parker even smiled when she mentioned meeting other intelligent life. "Captain, what should we do?" asked Ensign Thiprix. "Council protocols do not cover situations where the aggressive species initiates peaceful contact." The captain realized he was facing a decision that could affect the future of both species. Council orders were clear. Humans were to be considered a significant threat. But these particular humans were behaving in exactly the opposite way from every prediction. Maintain defensive positions, but do not power weapons, he decided. Open a communication channel. The main screen flickered again, and Captain Morden found himself looking directly at the two humans. Both of them seemed fascinated by his appearance, but neither showed fear or aggression. Dr. Parker appeared to be taking notes on a small device. "Greetings," Captain Morden said carefully. "I am Captain Morden of the Galactic Council Observation Corps. You have detected our monitoring station." Jake Morrison's face lit up with obvious excitement. Galactic Council, or more. "Species out there? How many different civilizations are there?" The captain was taken aback by the enthusiasm in the human's voice. "Many civilizations belong to the Council. We have been observing your species for several months." "That's incredible," Dr. Parker said, her eyes bright with curiosity. "What did you think of us? What can you tell us about galactic civilization? Are there opportunities for cultural exchange?" Captain Morden felt his mandibles click together in confusion. These humans were asking about cultural exchange instead of demanding technology or territory. Dr. Parker seemed more interested in learning about alien cultures than in assessing them as potential enemies. "Your questions are unexpected," he admitted. "Our observations suggested your species has very different priorities." Jake Morrison looked puzzled. "Different priorities? We're explorers and scientists. Our mission is to learn about the universe and hopefully make friends with other intelligent species." "What kind of priorities did you think we had?" Dr. Clixana whispered from her tank. "Captain, they seemed genuinely confused by our assessment of their violent nature. We have observed your entertainment programs," Captain Morden explained carefully. "They contained significant amounts of conflict and violence. Your history shows massive wars involving your entire planet. We believed you to be a highly aggressive species." Both humans looked at each other, and then something completely unexpected happened. They laughed. Jake Morrison shook his head with amusement. "I think there might be some cultural misunderstandings here, Captain. Yes, we have conflicts, and yes, our entertainment includes action and adventure stories. But most humans want peace and cooperation, not war." Dr. Parker nodded enthusiastically. "Our movies and television shows are just stories, Captain. They help us explore ideas about courage and heroism, but they don't represent how we actually behave in real situations." "But your wars," Captain Morden pressed, "your weapons of mass destruction, your constant military preparations. Our wars were tragedies that we try to prevent from happening again," Jake explained patiently. "Our weapons exist to discourage other conflicts, not to start them. And our military training is mostly about disaster relief and peacekeeping these days," Dr. Parker added. "Captain, I think you might have gotten the wrong impression about humanity. We're not perfect, but we're not the violent monsters you seem to think we are." Captain Morden looked around his bridge at his confused crew. Everything they had learned about humans was being challenged by this simple conversation. These two humans seemed genuinely peaceful, curious, and friendly. "Would you be willing to come aboard our ship for further discussions?" he asked slowly. "Would be honored," Jake Morrison replied immediately. Dr. Parker was practically bouncing with excitement. "Yes, absolutely. This is the most amazing day in human history." As the alien ship prepared to dock with the small human vessel, Captain Morden realized that either humans were much better at deception than anyone had imagined, or the Galactic Council had made a terrible mistake in their assessment of this species. He was beginning to suspect it was the latter. The docking bay of the alien observation ship was unlike anything Jake Morrison and Dr. Lisa Parker had ever imagined. Strange lights pulsed in colors that had no names and the air tasted of metal and ozone. But their excitement overcame any nervousness as they floated through the airlock in their bulky spacesuits. Captain Morden waited to greet them, flanked by 3 of his crew members. His 6 legs moved with careful precision on the deck plates, while his compound eyes studied the humans with intense curiosity. Behind him, Dr. Clixon's water tank had been moved to the docking bay so she could observe the historic meeting. "Welcome aboard," Captain Morden said through the universal translator built into their suits. "I must admit, this is not how we expected to meet your species." Jake removed his helmet, revealing a friendly smile. "Thank you for agreeing to talk with us, Captain. This is incredible. Lisa, can you believe we're actually talking to aliens?" Parker also removed her helmet, her eyes bright with wonder as she looked around at the alien technology. "Captain, your ship is amazing. How does your artificial gravity work? And those lights? Are they some kind of bioluminescent technology?" Ensign Thiprix rustled his leaves nervously. "Captain, should they not be more concerned about potential danger? They seem remarkably trusting for a warrior species." Lisa looked confused. "Warrior species?" "Captain, I think there might be some serious misunderstandings here. Could we sit down somewhere and talk about this?" Captain Morden led them to a small meeting room where the furniture adjusted automatically to accommodate different alien body types. The humans sat in chairs that molded themselves to their shapes, while the aliens took their preferred positions around a central table. Dr. Parker, Commander Morrison, Captain Morden began formally, "Our observations of your species over the past 6 months have led us to classify humans as a significant potential threat to galactic peace." Jake nearly choked on the water he was drinking. "A threat? Us?" "Captain, I think you've got humans confused with someone else. Your entertainment programs show constant warfare," Dr. Clixona explained from her portable tank. "Your history includes massive global conflicts. Your weapons could destroy your own planet. These are not the characteristics of a peaceful species." Lisa leaned forward in her chair, her expression growing serious. "Captain, I think I understand the problem. You've been watching us from the outside without understanding the context of what you were seeing." "Explain," Captain Morden said simply. "Our movies and television shows are fiction," Jake said. "They're made-up stories meant to entertain people and explore ideas. We make a movie about fighting aliens, it doesn't mean we actually want to fight aliens. It's just an exciting story." Dr. Parker nodded enthusiastically. "It's like when children play games about being brave heroes. They're not actually violent. They're just imagining adventures and testing ideas about courage and friendship." Ensign Thiprix's leaves turned a skeptical brown color. "But you're historical. Wars were real. Millions of your kind died in conflicts." Jake's expression became sad. "Yes, those wars really happened, and they were terrible. Most humans consider them some of the darkest moments in our history. We study them so we can prevent them from happening again. The people who lived through those wars spent the rest of their lives working for peace," Lisa added. "My own grandfather fought in World War II, and he dedicated his life afterward to teaching children about the importance of cooperation and understanding." Captain Morden clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "But you still maintain large military forces. You still build weapons." "We do," Jake admitted, "but mostly because we haven't figured out how to stop completely while still protecting people who can't protect themselves. Most of our military work now involves disaster relief, peacekeeping missions, and humanitarian aid." Dr. Parker pulled out a small device and showed them images from Earth. "Look, Captain, here are pictures of our soldiers helping during earthquakes, floods, and other disasters. Here they are delivering food to hungry people and medical supplies to remote areas." The aliens studied the images with growing confusion. They showed human soldiers, but instead of fighting, they were helping civilians, rescuing people from collapsed buildings, and distributing aid to refugees. "This does not match our observations," Dr. Clixon admitted, her patterns shifting to puzzled orange. "What about your weapons of mass destruction?" Captain Morden asked. "You have enough nuclear weapons to destroy your planet many times over?" Sighed. "That's probably the thing we're least proud of as a species. Those weapons were built during a time when we were very afraid of each other. Most humans want to get rid of them, but it's complicated because we have to make sure everyone gets rid of them at the same time? It's like having a poisonous snake in your house, Lisa explained. You want it gone, but you have to be very careful how you handle it, or someone might get hurt. But you threaten to use them against each other, Ensign Thiprex pointed out. It's called deterrence, Jake explained. The idea is that if everyone knows using the weapons would be terrible for everyone, then nobody will use them. It's not a perfect system, but so far, it has prevented any more nuclear weapons from being used. In war, Dr. Parker added, and while we still have those old weapons, we're putting much more effort into peaceful technologies. Medical research, environmental protection, space exploration for scientific discovery. Captain Morden was beginning to feel like his understanding of humans was crumbling. What about your bonds with predatory species? Our observations show you keep dangerous animals as companions. Both humans look completely baffled by this statement. Dangerous animals? Lisa asked. Captain, what animals are you talking about?
Dogs.
And cats? Dr. Clixana explained. Creatures with sharp teeth and claws that evolved as hunters. Jake started laughing again. Captain, dogs and cats aren't dangerous to us. They're our friends and family members. Here, let me show you. He pulled out his own device and showed them a video call to Earth. On the screen, a large golden retriever came bounding up to the camera, tail wagging furiously. This is Max, Jake said with obvious affection. Max, say hello to our alien friends. The dog barked once and tried to lick the screen, his whole body wiggling with excitement. Dr. Parker called up her own video. And this is Whiskers. A small orange cat appeared on screen, purring loudly and rubbing against the camera. She's probably wondering where I am. The alien stared in amazement. These supposed predators were clearly showing affection toward the humans. The dog was acting like an excited child, and the cat was displaying obvious attachment behaviors. They live in your homes? Captain Morden asked in disbelief. Of course, Lisa said. They're part of our families. Max here has been Jake's companion. For 8 years. Whiskers adopted me when she was just a tiny kitten, but they have teeth and claws, Ensign Thiprex pointed out weakly. So do we, Jake replied with a grin. That doesn't make us monsters. Max has never hurt anyone in his entire life. His biggest crime is stealing socks and hiding them under the couch. Dr. Parker scratched Whiskers behind the ears through the video connection. And Whiskers here is afraid of butterflies. Some predator, right? Dr. Clixana's patterns were cycling through confused colors rapidly. On my world, only the most dangerous criminals associate with predators. Normal citizens keep only gentle. Filter feeders and peaceful plants. That sounds kinda lonely, Lisa said sympathetically. One of the wonderful things about dogs and cats is that they love unconditionally. They're loyal, funny, comforting when you're sad, and they make great friends. Friends. Captain Morden repeated the word as if he had never heard it before. Best friends, Jake confirmed. When I was sick last year, Max never left my side. He seemed to understand that I needed comfort and companionship.
Oh.
The meeting continued. For several hours, as Jake and Lisa patiently explained human culture, motivations and behavior to the increasingly bewildered aliens, they talked about human art, music, literature, and philosophy. They explained how humans formed friendships across cultural lines, how they worked together to solve problems, and how most humans wanted to leave the world better than they found. Yet by the end of their conversation, Captain Morden realized that the Galactic Council had made a fundamental error in their assessment of humanity. These creatures weren't violent monsters planning galactic conquest. They were curious, hopeful people who wanted to explore the universe and make friends with other intelligent species. Dr. Parker, Commander Morrison, he said finally, I believe we owe your species an apology. Completely misunderstood your nature. That's okay, Captain, Jake said warmly. Misunderstandings happen when people don't have a chance to really talk to each other. The important thing is that we're talking now. Learning, Lisa added excitedly. Captain, would it be possible for us to learn more about galactic civilization? We have so many questions about other species and cultures. Captain Morden looked at his crew, who were all staring at the humans with new understanding. These weren't the monsters they had feared. These were potential friends, curious and eager to learn about the wider universe. "I think that can be arranged," he said. "Slowly, but first, I need to send a very different report to the Galactic Council." 3 weeks had passed since Jake Morrison and Dr. Lisa Parker came aboard the alien observation ship. What was supposed to be a brief diplomatic meeting had turned into something completely unexpected. The two humans had become part of the ship's daily routine, helping with various tasks and making friends with crew members from a dozen different species. Captain Morden watched from his command chair as Jake worked alongside Chief Engineer Grixeth. The silicon-based crystallite, the humans' practical approach to problem-solving had already helped improve 3 different ship systems. Meanwhile, Dr. Parker spent hours with Dr. Clixana, comparing notes on xenobiology and discussing the ethical treatment of different life forms. The ship's morale had improved dramatically. Crew members, who had barely spoken to each other for years, were now participating in Jake's evening storytelling sessions and Lisa's music appreciation gatherings. The humans had introduced concepts like team building and cross-cultural friendship that were revolutionizing how the diverse crew worked together. "Captain," reported Communications Officer Vextil, "I am receiving priority signals from the Eternal Vigilance. Commander Zethkar is requesting immediate status reports on the human prisoners." Captain Morden felt uncomfortable calling Jake and Lisa prisoners. They had voluntarily stayed aboard to help with cultural exchange, and they could leave whenever they wanted. But officially, the Galactic Council still considered humans a threat to be contained and studied. "Tell Commander Zethkar that the humans are cooperating fully with our research," he replied carefully. Before Vextel could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Emergency lights flashed red as the bridge crew rushed to their stations. Ensign Thiprex's leaves turned pale with fear as he read his displays. "Captain, we have a cascade failure in the exotic matter containment system," he reported in a trembling voice. "The containment field is collapsing." Dr. Clixana's bioluminescent patterns flashed urgent red. "Captain, if the exotic matter destabilizes, it could create a chain reaction that destroys the ship and everything within 50 light-years."
Captain Morden
felt his mandibles click together in panic. Exotic matter was what powered their faster-than-light engines, but it was incredibly dangerous when not properly contained. The energy released by an uncontrolled exotic matter explosion could destroy entire star systems. "Evacuate all non-essential personnel to the escape pods," he ordered immediately. "How much time do we have?" Chief Engineer Grixeth S. Crystalline body flashed with urgent calculations. At the current rate of decay, approximately 2 hours before total containment failure. Jake Morrison appeared on the bridge, having run from the engineering section when the alarm started. "Captain, what's the situation?" "Commander Morrison, you and Dr. Parker should evacuate immediately," Captain Morden said urgently.
"This
is not your responsibility." "What's not our responsibility?" Lisa asked as she arrived, slightly out of breath. "Our exotic matter containment is failing," Dr. Clixon explained quickly. "If we cannot repair it, the explosion will destroy this ship and potentially damage several nearby star systems, including your home system." Jake and Lisa looked at each other. Captain Morden saw something in their expressions that he was beginning to recognize. It was the same look they got when discussing human history or talking about their companion animals. It was determination, mixed with compassion. "How can we help?" Jake asked simply. "You should evacuate," Captain Morden repeated. "Save yourselves." "Captain," Lisa said firmly, "if this explosion could hurt Earth, then this absolutely is our responsibility. Besides, you're our friends now. We don't abandon friends." Ensign Thiprix looked up from his station in confusion. But you are not. Crew members, you have no obligation to risk your lives for us." "That's not how humans think," Jake explained, as he was already heading toward the engineering section. "When people are in danger, you help them. It doesn't matter if they're your own species or not." Dr. Parker was right behind him. "Captain, Lisa and I have been studying your exotic matter systems for weeks. We might be able to contribute a fresh perspective to the problem," Captain Morden realized. He was witnessing something that challenged everything the Galactic Council believed about survival instincts and species loyalty. These humans were choosing to risk their lives to save aliens they had known for less than a month in the engineering section. Chief Engineer Grixeth was working frantically at his control panels while exotic matter readings climbed toward critical levels. The containment field flickered and sparked with dangerous energy discharges. "The problem is in the harmonic resonance frequency," he explained quickly to Jake and Lisa. "The exotic matter is vibrating at a frequency that interferes with our containment field, but we cannot change the frequency without risking immediate explosion."
Guys.
Lisa studied the readouts carefully. "What if we don't change the frequency? What if we match it instead?" "Match it." Grixoth's crystalline structure brightened with interest. "Explain." "In human engineering, sometimes the best way to control a dangerous resonance is to synchronize with it, rather than fight against it," Jake said, his mind racing through possibilities. "Like singing in harmony instead of trying to cancel out the sound." Dr. Klixana, who had remained on the bridge to monitor the situation, spoke through the ship's communication system. "That approach has never been attempted with exotic matter. It could be extremely dangerous." "More dangerous than letting it explode?" Lisa asked practically. The ship shuddered as another power surge ran through the exotic matter containment system. Warning lights flashed more urgently, and the time to total failure dropped to 90 minutes. "We need to try something," Jake said. "Chief Grixeth, can you modulate the containment field to match the exotic matter's resonance frequency?" "Theoretically. Possible," the engineer replied, his body flickering with rapid calculations. "But if the synchronization fails, the explosion would be immediate, and we would have no time to evacuate." "That's a risk we'll have to take," Lisa said calmly. Captain Morden listened to the conversation from the bridge with growing amazement. The humans were not just helping. They were proposing a solution that put them at even greater risk, but offered the best chance of saving everyone. "Beginning harmonic synchronization," Grixeth announced. "All personnel should prepare for potential immediate evacuation." The exotic matter readings fluctuated wildly as the containment field began, matching the dangerous resonance frequency. Energy discharges lit up the engineering section with brilliant flashes, while Jake and Lisa worked alongside Grixeth to fine-tune the synchronization. "Frequency match at 60%, the engineer reported. 70%, 80%. Ship's vibrations began to smooth out as the containment field found harmony with the exotic matter instead of fighting against it. Warning lights shifted from red to yellow as the immediate danger decreased. 95% synchronization achieved, Grixeth announced with obvious relief. Containment field stable. Explosion threat eliminated. Cheers erupted throughout the ship as crew members realized they were safe. But Captain Morden was focused on something else entirely. Jake and Lisa were sitting on the floor of the engineering section, exhausted from their efforts, but their first concern was checking on Grixeth to make sure he was uninjured. "Are you okay?" Lisa asked the crystalline engineer. "That was incredibly stressful for all of us, but especially for you." Jake was already planning improvements. "Chief, once we get some rest, we should work on building backup systems to prevent this from happening again." Captain Morden made his way to the engineering section, his 6 legs moving with purpose. When he arrived, he found the 3 engineers discussing modifications and safety improvements as if they had been working together for years. "Commander Morrison, Dr. Parker," he said formally. "You saved this ship and potentially several star systems, including your own." "We all saved it together," Jake corrected him. "Chief Grixeth did most of the technical work. We just offered a different way of thinking about the problem." "But you risked your lives for people who initially considered you enemies, Captain," Morden pointed out. Lisa looked genuinely confused by his statement. "Captain, you stopped being enemies the moment we started talking to each other. You became friends when you welcomed us aboard your ship. You don't abandon friends, no matter what species they are." In that moment, Captain Morden finally understood what made humans truly different from every other species in the galaxy. It wasn't their capacity for violence that made them frightening. It was their capacity for friendship, loyalty, and self-sacrifice that made them powerful. "Dr. Parker, Commander Morrison," he said quietly, I believe the Galactic Council needs to hear about this incident directly from you." 3 days later, Captain Morton stood before the assembled Galactic Council aboard their great station at the center of the galaxy. Jake and Lisa flanked him as he delivered his final report on humanity. "Honorable Council members," he began, "we were wrong about the humans. Completely wrong. They are not the galaxy's most frightening species because they're aggressive. They're potentially the most powerful force for good in the galaxy because they are compassionate.